Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we'll be doing another class in a series of classes on Aquarius, ascendant, and Saturn in the different houses. Tonight we'll be doing Saturn in Sagittarius, in the different signs, Saturn in Sagittarius, which normally falls in the 11th house. So that's an interesting point I want to make here, that we mentioned it. Aquarius, by nature, rules the 11th house in Adam Arishon's chart. So all the Aquarians are going to be interested in 11th house affairs. Their friendship is tremendously important. Right, and to be part of groups, they love to take part in groups and to be parts of organizations. Is very important for them, and they have a lot of hopes and wishes and dreams, and all connected with the 11th house. Well, maybe not dreams. Dreams is more the 9th house, but hopes and wishes is the 11th house. And when you have a person who has an Aquarius ascendant and then the ruler in the 11th, it means it's very, very connected to the 11th house, because it's connected from both sides, from the side of the ascendant, being an 11th house sign, Aquarius, and from the ruler of the ascendant being in the 11th house itself. So that indicates a strong interest in 11th house affairs, because it's doubled the importance of the 11th house affairs. And what suffers when you have such a strong 11th house? Let's talk a little bit about mystical astrology. Mystical Jewish astrology talks about, you can learn everything out from the horoscope of Adam and the horoscope of Eve. You can learn, all the secrets. So what happens when a person has an 11th house that's too strong? That's very, very strong. What suffers? Well, the first thing that suffers is the house that's opposite the 11th house, which is the 5th house, which is the children. Right? The children suffer because I know I have a friend who is not married, and every time he calls me up, I tell her, he says, well, let's go there. I say, I can't. I got to take care of my kids. I got to do this with my kid, that with my kid. And you see, sooner or later, that the friends are the enemies of the children. The children see that. The children see that, when the parents are with their friends, they forget about the children. So the children don't like them. So they become open enemies. And also, a lot of times people that, they're so much involved in friends, they don't have time to make babies. They don't want to have children because they don't want to interfere with their social life. The social life takes away from the family life takes away from the social life. So there's going to be a big missing out on if they figure if they have children, then they're going to have to cut down on their social life, which they don't really want to do. So again, you always see, but you look closely at the chart of Adam Rishon, you can learn a lot of things from it about astrology. So already someone that's going to be too much 11th, you're going to have to try to work with them that they won't wake up one day and see that they're old and they don't have any children, and they're too old anyway to meet their friends. So you have to be able to work with people, and sort of show them what's going on. But in any case, so Saturn in Sagittarius is an interesting combination. Because Saturn will here be Sagittarius is a Jupiterian sign, but it's not bad. I don't think it's not neither really good nor bad. It's considered peregrine. The Sagittarius heats up the Saturn a little bit, which is nice for the Saturn. Maybe Saturn, cools down a little bit the Jupiterian influence, but it gives an interest when the ruling planet is in Sagittarius. It gives an interest in the law, higher education, religion, all sorts of things like that. It's an intellectual sign, Sagittarius, so it's good for academic pursuits. It says, all in all, it's okay. Right? And the Saturn will make a nice aspect to the ascendant, a 60-degree aspect. They're sextile to each other again, which is good. So there's some positive energy there in the having Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn in Sagittarius is considered one of the nicest signs. My teacher always said the two signs everybody likes are Sagittarius and Libra. Right? There's something about them that's very likable. But in any case, I want to look at a chart now. We're talking about not having children because of the friendship. I want to look at a woman whose name was Leontine Price. She was one of the most famous opera singers in America. And if you look at her chart, so she had the ascendant in Aquarius, Saturn in Sagittarius, opposed to the 5th house. Right? And it was exactly opposed to her moon, which was in the 5th house. Now when you have an opposition like that, you always want to look which is the stronger. And of course Saturn is the heavier planet, and it's higher also. The higher planet makes it stronger. So the Saturn did not help her moon. The Saturn sort of cooled down her moon, and the moon was not in a very fertile sign to begin with, in Gemini. Not in a sign so much that goes after children. But in any case, right, so she had the Saturn and exactly opposite the moon, so almost exactly, and so it hurt her desire to have children, right? Also she had 4 planets. We'll talk about that in a second. She had 4 planets also in Pisces competing against the ascendant. And all those 4 planets, of course, are squared to her Saturn and squared to her moon. And they're in the house of money, so they're in the house of herself, but they also work for the house of her money. So she was very I think they're money orientated and very hung up on herself. She was very she felt very self-important, especially when you have the sun there. She had the sun there in detriment in Aquarius. So she felt herself very important. She must have had a lot of heirs to her. I don't know much about her, but she must have been... her history is very short. I couldn't find very much on her, but you see with all those... with that Aquarius, the sun on the ascendant... it must have made her like stuck up, thinking, she's the greatest and stuff like that. And so they all, the 4 planets in Pisces didn't help that opposition between Saturn and the moon. And so you see that there. And the 2nd house is also the voice, right? So she must have had a beautiful voice. It says that she had an incredible voice. The 2nd house, remember, if you go through the parts of the body, the 1st house is the head, the 2nd house is the throat, 3rd house will be the chest and the arms, right? So it's the 2nd house, meaning the throat. You see somebody who, if they have artistic singing ability from the 2nd house, and she had the 2 best planets in the 2nd house. She had working for the 2nd house, she had Jupiter, Mercury, and they were both conjunct her she had Jupiter and Venus, both the 2 best planets, both conjunct her Mercury, which is the voice. So she must have had incredible voice, right? And she used it career-wise with the Saturn, the Moon opposition. Right? This indicates career and so she used it to great advantage. She was a very successful woman. And I thank everybody for listening.